Hello, hello. Welcome to this amazing celebration of authors and their beautiful stories. My name is Jacqueline Ruiz, and I am very excited to be here. I am the proud publisher of this beautiful series that has now shared the stories of almost 500 authors. Imagine the power of almost 500 stories that are shared throughout the world, making impact, sharing inspiration, and of course, creating a pathway for others to do the same. Now you're part of that journey. And today, I'm excited because imagine getting to this beautiful destination and knowing that, in the many stories that we have edited, we've learned something new. We've connected with people. We've, learned about stories of adversity, stories of inspiration. And there's nothing more powerful than opening up your heart and sharing the story. And, people always ask me, where do we find inspiration? Where do we find a source of an energy to keep moving forward? And you know what? The stories in our community are the fabric that brings us together. And that's where you find inspiration. You find inspiration in adversity. You find inspiration in storytelling. You find inspiration in sharing specific details about an experience that made you a better person. And anytime that you do that, you're opening up more inspiration for the next generation. So thank you and congratulations. I think, the importance of this project, and I don't even call it a project, I call it a mission, is to continue to elevate the narrative of our community, of the stories, and like I said, that beautiful fabric that comes together in our community and basically brings us here and to this stage. So today we have something very exciting happening because oftentimes we're told to share the stories. We're basically, told to share the stories here. We say, hey, you know what? Let me share my story. That's wonderful. But imagine the opportunity to share somebody else's story. Now that is powerful. So today's dynamic is as follows. We're going to have 3 pairs of authors that did not know who they were paired with before because they were put together, they were matched up ahead of time. Every person was given another individual story without any context, any names, or biographical details. Today, they will meet each other to discuss their stories, reflecting on their similarities they find and how reading the other person's narrative connects with their personal experiences. So imagine the exercise of saying, you know what? I'm going to get into somebody else's story. I'm going to connect with that context. And I know that there are so many beautiful things. There are more things that unite us than keep us apart. And that's what we're going to explore today. And now, without further ado, I would like to call to the stage authors 1 and author 2, ready to reveal their beautiful stories.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I am well. So I believe I am author number 1, so I will go first. So I'll introduce myself. So my name is Monica M. Rivera. I am a leadership speaker. I'm also a personal brand strategist, and I work with women and small business owners who have typically been the first and only in their careers to break through these ceilings and to create a message and impact around their expertise, their skills, and their talents. I am also a proud Puerto Riqueña y Cubana. I'm originally from the Bronx, and now I like to say I have dual citizenship in New Jersey, because if you're from New York, you know that the transition over to New Jersey is quite the leap. So I am very excited to be here, and I would love to read your story, if I may.
Yes, please.
Okay. When I was a little girl, my father took me far enough out into the ocean to where his toes could no longer reach the ocean floor. Now, it's time for you to swim to me, he declared, leaving me adrift in the water. Though he lingered just an arm's length away, he might as well have been 1,000 miles from my reach. Panic bubbled up inside me, freezing me in place. It's okay to be afraid. Just paddle your arms and kick your feet with all your might, he cheered from the water. With his words as my buoy, I realized I had a choice. Let fear sink me or bravely swim toward him. And so, with a flutter of determination, I made my choice, soon finding myself back on the sandy shore, our laughter as loud as the crashing waves around us. That day in the ocean became a metaphor for my life. Growing up with a mixed Hispanic heritage in a melting pot neighborhood of Brooklyn taught me resilience. Each step into unfamiliar territory reminded me of the determination rooted in my mixture of Puerto Rican and Peruvian heritage. My immigrant parents' hardships and sacrifices were woven into my DNA, creating a natural wellspring of strength. When I encountered setbacks, I channeled that spirit of perseverance, reminding myself that giving up was never an option. In school, fear often crept up on me like a shadow, whispering doubts in my ear as I faced challenges and uncertainties. But I remembered my father's words, his unwavering belief in me, and I pushed forward. I took chances, I raised my hand even when my voice shook, and I embraced every opportunity to learn and grow. Fear became my fuel, propelling me to excel rather than holding me back. As I stepped into the corporate world, the stakes felt higher, the waves more daunting. But I refused to let fear dictate my path. I dove headfirst into challenges, embracing the unknown with a sense of adventure. Just like that day in the ocean, I learned to trust my instincts, to paddle through uncertainty with courage. There were moments when fear threatened to overwhelm me, when the pressure felt suffocating. But I remembered the taste of salt water on my lips, the thrill of triumph as I reached the shore. I refused to let fear define me. Instead, I let it shape me into someone strong and resilient. Life is filled with challenges. Some we overcome and some we lose, but we always have the choice to move forward or stay stuck. Today, as I look back on my journey, I realize that fear will always be a part of life, but it doesn't have to control us. It can be a catalyst for growth, a reminder of our own strength and resilience. And just like that little girl in the ocean, I choose to face my fears head on, knowing that on the other side lies laughter, triumph, and endless possibility. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It was beautiful to read it, and there was so much resonance for me. I had a beautiful relationship with my father. I remember he taught me so much. He taught me how to throw my first baseball. He taught me all about sports. He introduced me to vacations and going to new places. I remember going to the pool with him, and he would do this very sweet thing where he would put his hand on top of his head as if he was a shark trying to get me in the water. The only difference is that I don't know how to swim, and I still don't know how to swim to this day. So if you can imagine my little legs trying to move throughout the pool. So I love sharing this story and meeting you here for the very first time. There's a lot of connections that we have, and it was an honor.
Thank you, Monica. You read the story beautifully. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I, again, have the great pleasure of meeting you. Let me introduce myself and then have the honor of reading your story. So my name is Clarissa Stam. I am a business transformation leader at IBM. I live in New Jersey as well. So I took myself and my family out from New York, and we moved to New Jersey. And a curious fact about me, I am a self-proclaimed cook, self-made cook. So I took a little bit of both my cultures and other cultures. My husband is 5 different cultures, and I managed to do a huge melting pot of different foods and learn pretty much how they're done. So let me, if you wouldn't mind, have the honor of reading your story. The phone rang, cutting off sleep. The shrill of the phone pierced the silence. Groggy, I glanced at the red eyes on the digital alarm clock. Too early for anything good. I could smell it before I could see it. Fire. Panic gripped me as my mother's urgent voice cut through the chaos. pulling me from bed. The corner bodega was on fire. My bedroom sat 3 short floors above the blaze. I was 12, too scared to even light a match. My hands shook uncontrollably, but my mom was more scared than I was. I instructed her steps. "Ma, pull on some pants. Help me unlock the gate and the window. Please, Ma, don't cry. Let's go." Despite my fear, I took charge, guiding my mother to safety down the fire escape and into the crisp Bronx night. Hours later, I sat in my very white private school classroom, a world away from the night's events. I kept quiet like a diary, holding secrets. Swathed in a uniform meant to conceal, I casually and coolly tried to sniff the lapels of the navy blue blazer. Had the smell of smoke seeped its way into the fabric, into my pores? No one suspected anything. I sat there wrestling with a dual identity, yearning for the ease of my classmates' lives. I wanted to be like them, and I tried. Weekends were spent in the neighborhoods, mimicking their style, desperate to fit in. But as I navigated between 2 worlds, the strain of assimilation wore me down. Living with dual identities was exhausting. I felt like Clark Kent stepping to the phone booth to become Superman. Little did I realize, but I hadn't just run from a fire that night. I was running away from the parts of me that made me who I am. In corporate America, the divide persisted. My home friends, bewildered by the persona I presented at work, they had not spent time in these white worlds like I had. They didn't know how hard it was to assimilate, and they certainly didn't know about the ease. I tried to blend, but it was futile. I couldn't perform anymore. The ease I desired was to show up in the world as my corporate self, rather than as fragments. Throughout my life until then, I had chosen one or the other, brown or white, this or that. But in reality, there are always more than 2 options, and I'm selecting all of the above. I was mistaken that day in the 7th grade. The fire had seeped into my pores. Embers from that night were never fully extinguished. They still burn inside me. When you look closely, you will find flickers in the stories I share, the clients I support, and the communities I build. All that's required is to show up as yourself, unapologetically. If the difference between a good and a bad life is how well you walk through the fire, consider me shining. I loved your story, Monica. Not only did I resonate with the same cultural background as you, and then moving from New York to the New Jersey and coming from that white world, Hispanic brown world distinction, but your story had such powerful imagery. The fire was in my face as I was reading it. And the struggle that you had trying to get your mom out and just have her not be panicked, that showed such a struggle in yourself to make sure that you were doing the right thing for both of you. At the same time, I can see that identity struggle that you're facing, trying to flip the switch the next day. It shows such resilience and growth, and it was a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for being part of this, and I appreciate that I got to read it.
Oh, thank you so much. It means a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Viva New Jersey! Who was to know that you guys were gonna be matched? And
That's awesome.
So amazing. I mean, to be honest, this is the first time that I witnessed something like this where there was no context and you basically were put in a situation where the leading connection was a story. So I want to commend you both because you did an amazing job. I mean, it was like you were professional actors, just bringing in that passion. And, it takes a lot, it takes a lot to share the stories. And I think this just proved to me that when you're giving the opportunity to elevate somebody else's story, that sometimes we're so afraid of sharing our own, or we don't know, but sharing somebody else's story is almost like giving us permission to add that extra layer of passion and really be champions for one another. So I want to commend you. I'm so excited and so happy that now you're connected through your story. How beautiful is that? And you might even meet for coffee coming up. And with that, thank you so much. I am excited because now we get to meet authors 3 and 4.
It's a pleasure to share the stage with you. And I believe that I will have the opportunity now to introduce myself and then read your story, if that's good with you.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
So my name is Zach Valdez. I live in Washington, D.C., where I am a strategic advisor for the Department of Energy. A curious fact about myself is for my honeymoon, I learned how to scuba off the coast of Thailand. And so now I'm honored to share your story. Our voice is an essential part of ourselves. Some of us have a sweet and quiet voice like Bella in the Twilight movies, and others have a loud and deep voice like Christina Aguilera that can be heard from miles away. Our voice can also be controversial if we have an accent, especially for those of us who are not born in the US. Our accent can have 3 different reactions. Some people will like it and think we are exotic. Others will hate it and tell us we don't belong here. And finally, some people will be neutral and won't say anything about it. The last one is the reaction they'll prefer. This is why for the longest time I was a quiet person. I was born in Mexico and moved to the US when I was 14 years old. My mom got a job offer and we moved to New Jersey. Although I previously learned English, the move was very hard. I was already a self-conscious teenager and my accent made me stand out even more. I had many international friends from Saudi Arabia, Korea, and the Congo. They accepted me with open arms, but the teachers who were not used to minorities were very offensive to me. This made me reject my voice. Since I wanted to change the perception of myself, I got out of my comfort zone and decided to study a BA in performing arts. My degree taught me how to be a good public speaker, how to sing, and how to use my voice to share different feelings with an audience. College also helped me gain confidence. While I was studying, I worked as a beekeeper at the campus garden. And as my love for animals grew fonder, I felt that I could use my voice for something more important than myself. I could use it to speak up for the planet. Then I became the president of the Sustainability Committee, which made me realize that the passion we put in our voice can impact the world. As a result, I changed my career and studied a master's degree in environmental education. With time, I gained the confidence to speak up about problems bigger than myself, like pollution or biodiversity loss. I also became more empathetic. I worked at a sea turtle project in Costa Rica and volunteered in an elephant sanctuary in Thailand as well. By now, it didn't matter if I had an accent or not. All that mattered was that I was using my voice to better the world. Like all bird species having their own sound, I learned that my accent is my unique song that shows I'm bilingual. It is a characteristic of who I am, and what matters most is how I use it. My voice can help me stand up for injustice. It can comfort a child in need or inspire my students. I'm grateful for my voice because it helps me have a wider impact in the world and be of service. Overall, we need to use our voice to teach, love, compassion, and to share our words of wisdom. So I connected on this in so many ways. Just now realizing that you went to an elephant sanctuary in Thailand, but really identifying the impact and the importance of having a voice, both from a physical standpoint, but also how it can impact systems and your own personal sort of mental capacity And then I really love the way that you weave sort of your love for animals into the story, and it just made it feel very organic. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. So I'll share about myself, and then I'll share your story, which I liked very much as well. Yeah. Okay, so I'm Lucelena, but they call me Lucy, and I'm a Mexican from New Jersey. Other people from New Jersey there, right, too. And what else? I like dancing, especially line dancing or hip hop, salsa, different types dancing. And yeah, I also like hearing the other stories as well. They were pretty amazing too. Okay, so I'm gonna share your story now. Okay. Growing up as the second son to a multi-ethnic couple in the heart of Texas was more than just a journey. It was a vibrant celebration of diversity that shaped my development. From the mouth-watering scents while crafting tamales alongside mi abuela, to passing the oplaki before the village dinner, my childhood was a kaleidoscope of cultural experiences, weaving together the rich tapestry of my identity. This early immersion in various cultures nurtured a deep appreciation for holding space in different places, enriching my understanding of society and celebrating the richness of my heritage. Amidst the beauty of this mosaic, the stability of my upbringing was rocked by the tumult of my parents' divorce. 7 relocations between the 6th grade and senior year forced me to confront an evolving socioeconomic landscape that magnified the stark disparity of access, opportunity, and representation, fostering feelings of uncertainty and isolation leaving high school. I leveraged financial hardship alongside academic and athletic scholarships to attend a Hispanic Serving Institute where peers and faculty share my cultural background. My accomplishment as a double major in physics and engineering while playing soccer developed an unrivaled sense of pride and confidence that I thought would carry me through life. Life had different plans. Within a year, my mother passed away from cancer, and I took on a PhD program as the only Hispanic among students and faculty. Asking myself with feelings of insecurity and inferiority, was this where I belong? Luckily, I lived with my 90-year-old abuela during my PhD journey, and despite never attending school beyond 5th grade, she believed in the investment of education and the strength in embracing our shared history and heritage to persevere. Our morning cafecito allowed us to bond over her shared wisdom about falling in love, growing up Hispanic in Central Texas, and pride in generational growth in her family. In fact, most of my Hispanic family lived nearby and collectively instilled in me the courage to embrace my story and squash thoughts of inadequacy. I ironically captured the vision of my abuela's pride as our multi-generational family drama spilled over the weekend breakfast table of guisada and homemade tortillas, rivaling my abuela's favorite novelas. Inspired by the unwavering support of family, I embarked on a mission to create change beyond my career through building relationships when and where family wasn't available, starting my career in Washington, D.C., through coaching kids soccer, supporting the local chorizo club, and advocating for Hispanics in STEM. I remain determined to empower others to embrace their identities and make a positive difference in their communities. Though my abuela is no longer with us, her legacy lives on, and as a torchbearer of her wisdom, I encourage others to push beyond the imposter feelings and weave their heritage into the vibrant fabric of our nation's diverse tapestry. Okay. All right. Yeah, I really love your story, because you had like a series of hardships, right? But you were not depressed, and like you rose up and you overcome these obstacles, and you were very brave, and you were like, I'm gonna make change, I'm gonna do a PhD, coach soccer, like make an impact in other people's lives instead of being depressed by all these obstacles, right? And my mom also suffered from cancer, so I know it's very tough, and but you were able to still succeed and like think outside of yourself, right? And I think that's very admirable. Yeah.
Thank you.
And of course, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I had tears in my eyes. It's so beautiful. And, you know, it's like when you were reading his story, and of course, everything you've been through, I really admire you for your courage and how you faced adversity and how you transformed that into something beautiful that has helped you achieve what with very few percentage of Latinos achieve, you know, which obviously this is why it's important to share these stories, because oftentimes we don't know all the amazing things that we're achieving. But beyond that, it just dawned on me that when somebody else shares that story, you're also expanding your legacy. Because now we got to hear about your mom, we got to hear about your grandma. Like, I think it's just so beautiful. They're probably in heaven thinking, wow, I'm so proud, you know. And now it's like immortalized in a vessel that is there forever. Like, you have a permanent record in the Library of Congress, you know, because you decided to open up your heart and share your story. And of course, I mean, both of your stories are so amazing. Your bravery, I mean, I'm just blown away. And I just want to thank you for this beautiful gift. And of course, the World Human team, the Hispanic Stars team, for coming up with this beautiful concept. So what did you feel like you took away from each other from that? Besides, of course, a lot of inspiration. I'm like, wow.
I just want to say it made me ground myself reading your story and realizing that we are connected in ways that oftentimes we don't regularly engage with, especially when we think about nature and the animals that we can help support. But also, just as you already mentioned, like how we can use our voice effectively to share our story.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a beautiful exercise of listening more. You know, they oftentimes say, God gave us like one mouth and 2 ears so we can listen more. I mean, I am blown away by just hearing and listening to the stories and how, you know, we find that beautiful fabric that connects us all. And I want to thank you both for your beautiful bravery. Now we have names to the author numbers 3 and 4. And now we celebrate you and every one of your accomplishments. And like I always say, you know what? No one can take away what you've accomplished. So keep accomplishing, because there are people watching that are being inspired by you. So thank you so much. Now, I mean, it's I'm like, literally I was sitting behind the camera just sobbing and just taking it all in, you know, from authors 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And here we are now ready to reveal authors 5 and 6. And I am sure that they're going to be nothing short of amazing, like the rest of the authors. And so with that, I'd like to bring you to the stage. Who are they?
You know, this is so unfair. We had to hear all the stories, and I was crying too, so it's going to be tough.
So good. Nice to meet you. I am author number 5, so I guess I'll kick us off. So my name is Edward Herrera. I live in New York City now. I am Chief Finance and Operations Officer at Braven, which is a national nonprofit that helps underrepresented students land a first strong job. So we work with a lot of Hispanic and Latino students as well. A little bit about me. I, grew up in a single parent home, and I found my father probably about 2 years ago through Ancestry.com. And what's interesting is I learned that my grandmother, his mom, lived about 20 blocks away from me in New York City. So it was interesting to know that she was my neighbor, and we now have a really good relationship. So I'm really excited to be here. Another thing, just another layer of this experience for me is I was fortunate enough to be a 2023 recipient of the Hispanic Star Changemaker Shaping the U.S. Award. So thank you to the foundation and all people that were involved in this book as well, because it's an exciting time and to put it on paper. So if I may, I'm going to go ahead and read your story.
Gracias.
The summer I turned 10 was blistering hot in San Pedro, the salty sea air mingling with the harsh realities of our tough neighborhood. While my friends looked forward to lavish summer camps, my family's modest means cast a shadow over my youthful desires. Compelled by a fierce longing to experience what I felt as a distant world, I crafted a daring plan. One golden afternoon, with my heart drumming to a nervous beat, I snuck into the local YMCA. Pushing open the heavy side door, I was engulfed by the chlorinated scent of possibility. The lively splashes and joyful shrieks of children echoed off the tiled walls, starkly contrasting the silent plea of my steps. Dipping into the cool embrace of the pool, I felt a surge of liberation. Each stroke washed away the labels that society had placed on me. For those fleeting hours, I wasn't the poor kid from the outskirts. I was just another joyful soul seeking respite from the heat, submerged in communal dance of splashing and laughter. My newfound sanctuary, however, was threatened when the YMCA executive director discovered my unauthorized visits. Yet, instead of reprimand, I found an unexpected grace. Recognizing my yearning for inclusion, he offered me a chance to earn my membership through helping around the facility. This act of kindness was my first real lesson in leadership and empathy. This pivotal moment solidified my life's philosophy. Barriers are merely invitations for innovation and kindness. I embraced every opportunity to contribute, learning that true community is forged from acts of understanding and support. Years later, this resolve crystallized into my role as a summer camp counselor, then a beacon of community leadership across California, Georgia, and Texas. Each position offered a platform to advocate for inclusivity and implement programs that bridge gaps, ensuring that no child felt the sting of exclusion that I had once known. In every community, I strove to cultivate a space of children where children could discover their potential, unmarred by the barriers that once confined me. My philosophy of upliftment through empathy and equity became the cornerstone of my actions. It was not merely about offering help, it was about igniting the belief in each child that they too could alter the course of their own stories. Reflecting on my journey, I see a tapestry of moments. A child's exhilarating first swim, the grateful smiles of parents, the community bonds strengthened through shared endeavors. These are the true measures of my success, the living embodiment of my belief that by helping others, we chart a course towards a more compassionate world. I have to say to you that when I read this, it was so interesting because I used to volunteer in San Diego at the Boys and Girls Club, and I remember when I walked in and that smell of the chlorine in the pool, and I thought, this is what well-off kids or people that have money are able to experience. And you know, the Boys and Girls Club became almost like an after-school program for me, and I spent a lot of time there. In addition, my personal mantra is that nobody wakes up to do wrong, and I really appreciate your approach that, you know, that idea of like just pushing other people to do well and being kind and compassionate. I think we need a lot more of that in the world. So thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story too. So I guess it's my turn, right? So my name is John Sanchez Casas. I am originally from Los Angeles, from LA, San Pedro, California, which you mentioned, you know, from my story. But I now live in Dallas, in a little small town, about 45 minutes north. There's about 2,000 people in my town. So talk about culture clash from big city LA to this small town in Texas, right? And so I have been in the nonprofit world for a long, long time. And so when I read your story too, I felt like, oh, we're connected. We're connected. So, you know, if you don't mind, I want to share your story now.
Thank you.
Gracias. In the sun-drenched city of Tijuana, Mexico, life was painted in hues of struggle and dreams. Born into a family where every peso counted, I navigated the labyrinth of poverty with the unwavering spirit inherited from generations past. My grandmother, a resilient force, toiled under the unforgiving Mexican sun to put food on our table, and the echoes of a mantra that became the soundtrack of my childhood. Somos pobres y nunca seremos nada más. We're poor and will never be anything more. The wooden walls with such gaping holes that we could see the outside echoed with laughter and hardship. In the evenings, I would sit at my grandmother's feet, absorbing the tales of our humble ancestry. Her words, though laden with the weight of our economic struggles, ignited a fire within me, a determination to defy destiny. Education became my refuge, a sanctuary where dreams could sprout even in the arid soil of poverty. I immersed myself in books, seeking solace and knowledge that would be my compass in uncharted territories. The streets of Tijuana, Mexico became my proving ground for resilience and ambition. As I ventured into adolescence, the call of opportunity led my mother and myself across borders to the streets of San Diego. The journey was fraught with challenges, language barriers, cultural adjustments, and the ache of homesickness. I miss my grandmother and my old life in Mexico. Yet, every trial became a stepping stone, a testament to the resilience cultivated in the crucible of my upbringing. Years passed, marked by sweat, sacrifice, and the unyielding pursuit of a better life. Corporate ladders were climbed and glass ceilings shattered, but the words of my abuela lingered in the recesses of my mind. It wasn't just success I sought. It was a triumph that resonated through the generations, a legacy that transcended the boundaries of poverty. The turning point came when I assumed the role of Chief Finance and Operating Officer in a company committed to rewriting narratives for underrepresented students. The mission aligned seamlessly with the echoes of my past. I want to believe that if my grandmother were alive today, I would share my story, and she would have opened her mind to the other possibilities. The very important idea that where you begin does not dictate where you end. Back in New York, my job and the impact of my team on the organization became a podium for change. Networking, mentorship programs, and initiatives flourished as we scaled Braven. The company, like a bridge, connects underprivileged students to a realm of opportunities previously deemed unreachable. The mantra that once defined my poverty became a rallying cry for transformative change. Ed Herrera, the boy from the Porter town who dared to dream, he became the architect of a full circle moment, a journey from dust-laden streets to the helm of change where economic mobility was no longer an elusive dream, but a tangible reality for the underrepresented. You know, I'm sitting here holding back emotion because your story, my grandfather came here in 1943 and he built himself up in the railroad industry, bought a home in Chicago and lived that American dream. He opened those doors for myself, right? Same like my father, same as my father-in-law. So reading your story, you know, coming from Mexico and being successful and in something that I love, which is nonprofit world and helping others, you know, that's our story. And that's how we connect all the way across this nation, is that these are stories that we're telling that are brand new, but yet so old, right? Because what you shared with us today is what our ancestors have shared with us for many, many years. We're not just immigrants, we're migrants of this country as well, right? So I loved your story. You can hear me choking up. I get emotional, and thank you so much for giving me the honor of me read that.
Thank you.
I'm just blown away, no words. I discovered more of the threads of this beautiful fabric, you know, whether it's a shared experience, a location, a story, you know, family members. I call them micro moments, you know, life is measured in micro moments of impact, and sometimes those micro moments become macro moments that shape our life, and it's just so beautiful that we're all connected, in such a way, from every background, every space, every location. The stories are what continues to bring us together. So thank you so much for that. I was also a little bit teary-eyed in the back here, just hearing and really listening to this story. So thank you so much for sharing. And do we have any other words I want to share on this panel? Because we're going to bring all of the authors in one place in a moment, but I want to, if you don't have anything else to say, I want to say thank you, and of course I'll bring you back in a moment.
My only reflection that I have is that it's different versions of the experience, and I think sometimes the American dream can be so quick, right? And you move so fast, and these are the moments. Somebody else said earlier about grounding ourselves. And, I came from corporate America, and I found nonprofit, and that is a world that I really love. And, achieving for others, like helping others achieve what they can do. So thank you for just allowing that space for us to ground ourselves when we are, I'm sure, back-to-back in Zoom meetings across all of our roles.
Yes, and grounding for me is important, as I'm one of the few Latina sports airplane pilots in the US. So I always think about taking off, but most importantly, I always think about the landing. So it's, I always say taking off is optional, landing and your dreams is mandatory. And, it sounds like it's very fitting for, sometimes we do so much and we forget to really take that moment to smell the roses and say, what, can I land this thing? Can I be just grounded in this moment and just be, in appreciation and in presence, to be able to really listen to someone's story, which we've done today so beautifully. So thank you to both. And like I said, I'll bring you back on stage in just a few minutes. And with that, I want to thank all of you that are watching us. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for allowing us to do this very innovative, very diverse way of sharing somebody else's story, where our authors today did not have an opportunity to see and to know any of the context of the stories behind the stories that they got to share today, but simply came with an open heart, read the stories, got to meet the other person's stories, a story, live, and then they had an opportunity to share. And today it is beautiful proof that we are all connected more than ever before, that we are connected through adversity, through pain sometimes, through our stories, through gratitude, through, the places that we come from, the customs and the culture, and those little moments, the micro moments that bring us together, that even if you feel like you're so distant from someone else across the room, I am sure that if you take a moment to listen with your heart, if you take a moment to ask the right questions and to get interested and to make that other person feel like you truly care, that you have their best interest in mind, like the definition of trust, that's what it is knowing the other person, knowing that you have their best interest in mind. And today, I think beyond sharing the stories, today we were able to build trust. And in those beautiful authors and the stories that we had to hear today, Mónica Rivera, Clarissa Stam, Zach Valdez, Luz Elena Villanueva, Ed Herrera, John Sanchez Casas, they are beautiful, vibrant stories that make the fabric of our community. And I want to give you a big round of applause for braving and being here today.
Thank you so much. So the message I'd like to leave everybody with is, for so long, other people have told our stories. And what you're doing here with the creation of this book and having so many editions where so many stories have been able to tell is really opening the door for us to tell our own stories. So I would encourage, whether you're reading the book and you have a copy and you give it to a friend or a family member, but also listen to this and then find someone that you can tell your story to. Because that is the way that we build legacy. That is the way our voices become louder. And that is the way that we cannot be ignored.
Beautiful. Clarissa Stam.
I have to say, first of all, thank you for including me in the book, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to read Monica's story and listen to the other panelists. But what I would love to send a message out is our stories are not just our stories, they are our connective tissue. So they connect us just like this panel, they connect us one to the other to the other. And you can find the same similar threads in each of the stories, but there's still uniqueness. So get a chance to go read those stories, listen to those stories, and actively engage with those stories and connect them to yourself.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, Clarissa. Zach Valdez.
Yeah, thank you. For me, I think it's an opportunity to do two things. One is to show my family how much and how important they are to me, right? And really let them know like that they're part of me through this trip, that oftentimes they may feel like they're not. And then I think the other part is to remind people who may be going through similar aspects like me that they can get through it too. And so that by seeing one, they can be one, and hopefully they can overtake anything that I've ever been able to do in my life. Thank you.
Beautiful. Luz Elena Villanueva.
So I really like hearing all of the stories because all of us are very brave, and I feel really connected to everyone's stories, and especially hearing other Latinos that succeeded, because we're usually not really heard, like in American movies, right? We're kind of like the secondary character, and today we get to be the first character, right? And I feel very inspired from hearing your stories, and I also I can tell your compassion and your bravery, and how you're making an impact in the community.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Ed Herrera.
First of all, thank you all for allowing this to happen. I think it's very innovative and new. And for all the authors, right? I think what I think about my reflection is that for many years, I thought I haven't done anything out of the ordinary, right? And there was some mentors that taught me that I should share my story a little more, to be able to allow others to see into what the possibilities are. And from hearing all of you, it's so interesting to hear moments in your life that were so pivotal, or even people in your life, right? Whether it was like a father or like your mother. And as we emerge out of, the next leaders, the next generation of leaders, I hope that the next generation of Hispanic and Latino leaders are able to hear these stories. And just dream big, right? Don't stop. Thank you.
I love it. How beautiful. And finally, last but not least, is John Sanchez Casas. Tell us what you want us to take away from today.
Thank you so much. 5 volumes. Congratulations on that, because I got the first volume, about the second one, and the third one, and then I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to share my story, because these stories, what I really wanted to do was to solidify something for my grandchildren, right? So that they could see this and know that it wasn't just grandpa, it was great grandpa and great great grandpa, and so on and so on. And it's, while there's so many of us label ourselves first gen, and we say that, right? But I don't know. I think that we have a really rich history, not just here in the United States, but across the world. And so this book has taken me into your world, and it's taken me into different realms of my own mind, because I never thought I could write. I'm telling you, I turned in the story, and I was like, no, ni me van a pelar, how we say it, man. But it came true, and so now it's like I told but here's the part that got me more teary-eyed. It was the part where I shared this with my kids, and they all hugged me and congratulated me, because I grew up, a lot like what you guys were saying. We come from very humble beginnings. The streets of San Pedro are one of the toughest neighborhoods in Los Angeles, and every time I go back, it's like Rocky. That scene where Rocky's running through through the streets, and they're all behind him and they're all cheering him. That's kind of how they made me feel, and I feel like I have a responsibility to do more. And because of my grandfather's plight to get here, it would be unforgivable if we didn't. Mm. So thank you guys for sharing and taking me into your world. I hope that this book, just continues to inspire others just like it did me. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, all of you.
Yeah, you know what? And as you look around, Monica, Clarissa, Zach, Luz, Ed, John, you are amazing. You are incredibly talented. And not only that, I mean, you're brave. And today just proves that everything you've been through, your life, in whatever flavor, it's like it's gotten you to this amazing moment, right? And it's what happens between now and, the next 10, 20, 30 years. And I think as you continue to build a fabric of your own legacy and continue to share that, John said something super important. He said, I was teary-eyed when I shared it with my kids. And I think that's what makes the sacrifice and the effort and everything you've gone through makes it worth it, right? Because you're like, wow. And now having it documented, having it encapsulated and, packaged in a beautiful way that, not only your family can read it, but now the rest of the community can read it too. And they can see that we are as colorful and as flavorful as we have the screen right here, all backgrounds, all, upbringings, all of that. But that is part of our beautiful fabric, and that's what makes it beautiful. And you know what? I am an author of 36 books myself, and I've had the pleasure of publishing over 500 books, and I have authors in 32 countries. And I will tell you that it never ceases to amaze me, the magic of just opening up your heart just a little more to let that crack in of, basically vulnerability. And that just creates conversations, connects with the why, connects with all of that. And for that, I'm so grateful to you because you've given us a very important part of your life in sharing that story. And I'm pretty sure that just like there's an angle of the story, in a short chapter, there's another 30 books that you can each write about all the experiences, all the knowledge and the talents and everything that you've accumulated over the years. You now can also continue to share that legacy through books and storytelling. And let me tell you that, Hispanic Stars Rising is now, volume 5 is here. We have almost 500 stories that have been shared. Each book is between 80 and 100 stories. How amazing is that? And that deserves a big round of applause because that is hundreds of stories. Imagine every one of the stories is a metaverse of connections, of opportunity, of inspiration. And now you're part of that huge, amazing metaverse in this ecosystem of, our community. And may we continue to achieve our dreams. You say dream big. I know I love what it said, dream big and let's continue to achieve. So with that, I want to encourage you to go to Amazon, share the book with your family, with your friends, with your community, have them buy them in bulk, to donate to a local school. I mean, there's so many creative ways that we can permeate our community with beautiful stories so that they no longer tell us that we can't or that we are not worthy or that we don't deserve it. Like we are proving, and really, we're proving every single day that we are a beautiful community as diverse as the stars. And I'm really excited, really proud to be the publisher. And I will continue to, share the stories all across the world and across the metaverse as long as I live. So with that, I want to thank all of you and may you continue to share your legacy and land on your dreams. My name is Jacqueline Ruiz, and I'm the proud publisher of Fig Factor Media.